This is Citroen C3 Aircross. Yes, it's another small crossover that replaces a small minivan. From my point of view, it only has two faults, and I would seriously consider buying one, but I'm also very much interested whether you like it as much as I do. The first flaw is lack of proper cup holders. You know me, I like my coffee on the go. Theoretically, there are two cup holders on the options list, but what Citroen probably means by cup holders are these moldings here in the door bins. Now, they're okay for a closed bottle, but I wouldn't risk putting my hot coffee in there every day. But it's not a deal breaker, not even for me.
The second flaw is a bit bigger, as big as the price of this car. This test example cost over 28,000 euro. For comparison, Volkswagen T-Roc with a slightly less powerful engine and manual gearbox, but better infotainment system, costs about the same.
Okay, with flaws out of the way, let's get to the good stuff.
Subjectively, one of C3 Aircross's main advantages are the looks. Citroen stands out from the somewhat bland small crossover crowd. Like the ordinary C3, also Aircross has the front split by the chevrons transforming into day running lights. Large headlights underneath and a plastic protector underneath the grille, which is probably going to fall off as soon as it digs into the sand. From the side, red details attract the eye: mirrors, railings, and stripes on the rear window. Wheel arches seem chunkier thanks to plastic cladding, which contrasts with grey paint. But there are no air bumps, which we know from C3 and C4. In the back there is another off-road looking protector at the bottom of the chunky bumper and two large tail lamps. I'd like to drive a car like this, so let's go for a drive.
Under the bonnet of this test, Citroen C3 Aircross is a 110 horsepower 3-cylinder petrol engine mated to a 6-speed automatic. The ordinary C3 I tested about a year ago. It had a 5-speed manual with this engine, and I remember it had a tendency to stall. So for example, you would crawl up to a junction in second gear and you wanted to take off. We'll talk about this in a minute. Anyway, you wanted to take off and it would stall, which was scary for me and for the other driver as well. Anyway, automatic shifter solves this problem. It's not the fastest shifter out there, but it's good enough around the city.
The engine is also more suited for city or country roads. On the motorway, plan ahead before taking the fast lane. Above 130 km per hour, acceleration is leisurely at best.
Ordinary C3 had very soft, very comfortable suspension. Aircross seems, well, not as much hard, but as if suspension travel was too short for bumps. The car is too new to have been put through its paces off-road by other testers, so I suppose it's just a stiffer suspension.
Speaking of driving off-road, C3 Aircross is a front-wheel drive only car like Peugeot 2008 and Opel Crossland X, with which it shares the platform. However, unlike Crossland X, C3 Aircross can be equipped with grip control, which adapts ESP to selected type of terrain. This is good mainly for going straight. If you take a sharp turn, the front will start to dig in and there is no push from the back. So in light terrain, keep straight and if possible, don't stop. There is even hill descent assist. Gosh, where would I have to go in this car to actually use it?
In the regular C3, steering was lifeless, but here there is some feel. Perhaps it's got to do with the stiffer suspension. Visibility is okay, even if you won't see much through this striped window there in the back. At some stage, PSA has changed its reversing camera, so instead of having a full screen view of the reversing camera, you have a bit occupied by fake bird's eye view. Fake because it fills up as you turn. So there is just one camera and it just stitches the picture together as you reverse and maneuver around the parking lot. I'd rather have full screen in higher resolution.
Let's get back to the engine for a minute. It is a bit rough when cold and when shutting off at the lights. All but the least powerful engines get stop and start as standard. There are 3 petrol units to choose from, all 1.2-liter 3-cylinder with power ranging from 82 to 130 horsepower. There are also 2 1.6 diesels, 100 and 120 horsepower. Only the 110 horsepower petrol can be equipped with an optional automatic gearbox.
This engine is quite thirsty though. Instead of claimed 5.5 liters per 100 kilometers combined, I never saw anything below 7.5, and trip computer usually displayed more than 8.
On the plus side, at least the trip computer can be set to constantly display fuel economy, something not available in all PSA cars. Strange, I know.
This test car also gets a color HUD, which shows you speed, speed limit and sat-nav directions. I'm not a fan of the lane departure warning system, which you may have heard earlier on. There we go. Thank you. It's too sensitive for my liking, it's too loud for my liking. Perhaps I would prefer some sort of a vibration on the steering wheel. And another problem is that if you try and switch it off, so you have to long press the lane departure warning button, a yellow light comes on the dash, and when a yellow light comes on the dash, or an amber light for that matter, it usually means there is something wrong. I remember similar problems with Mazda 2 or Mazda CX-3. Whatever nanny you wanted to switch off, the dash would light up like a Christmas tree, and I just don't like that.
And one more irritating detail, loud and inefficient climate control. On a cold day, despite having driven the car for a few dozen kilometers, it is still chilly inside, and climate control whines as if it was working overtime. I have to bump the temperature up to 22 degrees, even though in most cars I keep it set at 18, 19 degrees. Climate control also has 3 modes, normal, high and soft. High is even louder and soft is even more ineffective. And I also don't like the fact I have to click through the touchscreen menus to get to temperature settings. On the plus side, SatNav gets traffic information as long as you allow it to use data from your phone.
But let's not get bogged down with minor details. Ever since the launch of the new 3008, PSA car interiors are becoming much more interesting. Okay, so there are no cool leather door handles like in the ordinary C3, but the whole interior, the cockpit, looks modern and nice. There is a place for your smartphone down here with an optional induction charger, and there is also a little shelf here in front of the passenger, and both are lined with rubber, so objects inside them don't slide.
Glovebox is low and deep, hard to reach for the driver. There is no storage under the armrest, but there is captain's armrest with height adjustment. Height adjustment is something Crossland X and Mocha X don't seem to have for whatever reason. I suspect this type of handbrake lever is supposed to give the car a more rugged feel, but I'd rather have my cup holders here.
Perhaps you noticed that I often complain about seatbelts getting caught behind the rear seats when you fold them, unfold them, etc. Now, being modest as I am, I shall assume Citroen did not listen to me, but perhaps to clients who watch my reviews. And believe it or not, there are ways to deal with this issue, and you know, this is one of them. Simple, elegant, effective. Well done, Citroen.
Back seat splits 40-60 and slides to increase boot volume. Middle part can be folded to create an armrest with 2 cup holders or to carry longer items. With seats in their normal position, there is sufficient legroom, but headroom is tight even for someone who's 175 centimeters tall like me. Optional panoramic roof eats up some of the headroom as well. At least there are handles above the doors, something missing from the regular C3. There are 2 shopping bag hooks in the boot, there is a double floor, again something missing from the regular C3, fold the back seats and you get flat loading area. Lower the floor and slide the seats forward and cargo volume increases from 410 to 520 liters.
C3 Aircross is proof that Citroen can draw conclusions from what clients are saying. The car not only has to look the part, but also has to be functional. This is why, despite some minor flaws, I'd like to see C3 Aircross in my driveway.
And what do you think about Citroen C3 Aircross? Are you as excited as I am, or would you rather get an Opel Crossland X or a Volkswagen T-Roc? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and click that bell icon to be up to date with all the stuff I post. New episodes every Friday. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.